don't touch anything. So tell me again about these markers here.
They have light yellow and they have dark yellow, but I think and they have orange. And I can't really tell a difference between the orange and the dark yellow. They're kind of the same color.
Yeah,
so
they look the same.
I wish you can have like more colors. I think, in a way.
Yeah,
but
it seems like it's harder to intermix them.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. But in a way, I like this. I like the cleanness to not having too many colors.
Just bolder.
It's easier.
Less decisions to make.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was telling you about those other markers I was doing to draw with. So I did a series of like sketches for, paintings or tattoos. But then I noticed they weren't light safe. And so in the studio, I noticed all of my drawing just disappearing.
Oh, man. I hope it doesn't.
So I started screenshotting them with like the iPad.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll have to redraw them in the future. I just didn't want to lose them.
These ones, I think,
Echo
come
line?
off. Yeah, these are super shitty, but they're nice to do sketches with. I think. But they are not light fast at all.
Yeah, I was finding out the hard way.
Yeah, I hope it. But he told me like the other day. He wrote me, I have noticed the yellow and the orange are coming off. I was like, fuck, damn.
Yeah. Well, just get like a liquid acrylic paint and then just put it over top.
Yeah, maybe I should.
This is awesome.
I don't think there's any way around it. I was thinking like doing fixative or something.
Yeah.
But there's no way.
With those dyes, for sure. You need probably more like a pigment base type of thing. Yeah.
But they're super strong. The pigment are very, very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Tell me about what's going on in the studio. This is crazy.
Now, I do a lot of digital work now, so I spend a little bit less time out here.
Yeah.
But I go out here as often as I can.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
Hang out. I still keep the books out here, so I have to go out here to sit and
see the
look
reference.
see the references.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice and cozy out here.
Yeah, I like the little altar you have here with the candles and the Madonna.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I like a little bit of a mess around myself when I paint and draw. Not at all any other time.
Right.
I'm very strict. I'm very like things to be in order.
Mm-hmm.
But when I create, I like a little bit of a mess and a lot of things to look at and a lot of inspiration.
Definitely.
Need that for sure.
Yeah, I see. It looks like a bunch of collection that you have from, places you visited. Yeah. I see you have a cool poster with the permanent inspiration, Corbin, Deutsch, Higgs and Hardy. I love that poster.
I often read before I fall asleep. So I have that one as like a bookmark.
Like a bookmarker, yeah.
I've had that since I got it. Like the original was a postcard.
Yeah.
I think I got it in 96 or 97. And I had it in my book every night. So that's the last thing I see before I go to sleep.
Very cool.
So I just love that. That's I don't know if it gets any better lineup than that. That's it.
Just so everybody knows, we're in the workshop studio of Charlie Nilsson, right. And we're just going over everything. And just to give you an idea, what's here is huge drawing table, beautiful large scale flash, but it's probably a flash seat the size of 3.5 by 2.5 feet. So each section could be a sleeve or back piece on this thing. Right. I see a machine studio here. How often do you get to do some machining? Is it
not that often? It's I think for me I'm not a super handy guy, so it takes a lot of effort to me, but I love doing it and learning by doing it.
Sure.
Always been into it. So now I try to do everything from scratch except for welding. I can't do that. I get them cast frames and not that often. It takes a long time for me. I think I'm so impressed by people doing it so fast. I cannot do it, so it takes some time.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be doing it fast, you have to really dedicate the time to doing it almost professionally and producing to sell.
Right, and I don't have that many fancy machines. It's very simple setup here. You made it sound like this place is huge, but
no,
it's not.
Well,
it's super tiny.
It's got a huge personality, that's for sure. You know, the book collection. I'm looking at the books, and I'm an avid collector as well, and I'm seeing the ones that I don't have, and I'm getting a little bit jealous.
Yeah,
you better count them before I leave.
Yeah, well, I got some of the new ones inside the house. I keep on reading every night. And, they're important. The books, I can't help buying them. It's so easy now with the internet and everything. All the references are online. And not everything, of course, but I still go back to the books. Love the smell of them.
Yeah, totally. You smell the ink and the glue, the binding. Like it's the same thing. Whenever I have a new book, I'll crack it and
smell them.
Yeah, it's true.
And I still do it. I have the O'Donnell and Grimy book.
That's a good one.
Every time I open it, I still smell it. Sounds crazy.
But that's where, in my opinion, all the good stuff still is. Because you could go online and find stuff. The stuff online that I'm really finding more of now that I haven't been able to find too much in books is like the woodblock print.
Right.
There you can just type in one artist or like a time, and then so much stuff comes up. Yeah.
But you have to know where to look, I guess, to find the good ones. Yeah, the books will still be around. Yeah, I love them.
Me too. Yeah. Did you ever go on like little book adventures? Like I have some friends that would go to Japan and just buy luggages full of books to bring home.
I used to more than I do now, but I actually had luck the other week. I went to this, I don't know, what do you call it in English? Like the used bookstores.
Yeah.
I walked past one right here in Malmo, and he had these Japanese books in the window. I was like, wow, and I had to go in and talk to him. I said, well, do you have any more of those? Because it was like a Horishige book, I think. And he was like, yeah, I got a few of them. And I was expecting like to be super expensive because they were nice. Big ones, one of these guys. Yeah. And he had some of them are reserved, and I asked him how much do you want for it because there was no price on it. He was like, 400 kronas. I was like, I don't know, $50 or something. Not even, I don't know.
Yeah, around that. Yeah.
And I was expecting a lot more. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can have one or two of those, please. So actually, the other week I got a couple of them. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah, there was a similar thing with a book I got when I was visiting in Florida. I used to collect catalogs for 19th century painters, and so this was the first printing it was like a full catalog of this one artist. Right. And on Amazon, I think it was worth like maybe $1,200. Right. And so this guy was here, and it was marked up pretty high, but still a good buy. I was trying to talk him down, and he was like, listen, I'm not in charge. You know, you might have to come back another time for the boss to come by. And I said, well, when does she come? And he's like, maybe like an hour and a half. And I was like, all right, I'm going to wait here. Okay. And I waited. You waited? Yeah. Cool. And so he got tired of me hanging around and called her. Was like, listen, can you come? Because this guy's not leaving. Okay. I ended up talking this woman into this book and another book, and I ended up getting it for like $400. Two books, you know. Then I double checked, and it was like the highest like mint condition book was like a $1,200 book. Wow. And I was like, score.
Good deal. Yeah. I tried to find these ones online. I could only find these are original press from 74, I think, and they were pretty high too. He didn't have a clue, the guy at the shore. So yeah, it was good. Goodbye.
Yeah. What was the name of this book? Is here?
It's a series of. This is number 11, but this is from I think Horishige. I got another one. I can't really remember, but it's not. I don't know. There's a few good reference pictures in there, but they're just so beautiful. So I get them anyway. So right. They're good. But I used to buy a lot of books, going to San Francisco a lot, and going to Japantown. And
Japantown.
Yeah. Going there, and I only been to Japan once, and had a suitcase full of books. Yeah. Coming back.
You were one of them.
Yeah. A lot of them. I can't help myself. You know? But I don't order online as much anymore. I try to
be in person.
Yeah. Try to do that. I ordered the last one was the O'Donnell Grimy book. I just had to get.
Yeah, me too.
And I was late, and then I saw Henning put up a thing. We have I think it was sold out in the States.
It was. Yeah. And then he had the only remaining ones.
Right.
And so I remember he was saying people from the States were inquiring about them.
Yeah, and I was like, oh damn, I thought it was going to be easier. Then I just ordered, and quickly. And it's so good. That book,
so
it's a Bible.
I believe he's coming out with a few more. I don't think they're stopping there. I don't know the details.
So good.
I've heard rumors, and hopefully they're true.
Yeah, they're so honest.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that honesty is kind of what's needed in kind of the media of tattooing now, where you get to see people down to earth, and like, you know, the human side, I guess, of them.
Because I can't really remember when I read a book read the whole book in one go, especially not a tattoo or a referent book.
Right.
But that one I was like, straight on, super good. Super good.
So far I just read the Chris part. I haven't read the grimy part. But I have to get on it.
Yeah, I made them, both of them.
You're from Sweden originally.
Yeah.
Are you from Malmo as well?
I'm from Malmo. Yeah.
Great.
Lived here my whole life. Yeah.
And what got you into this whole thing of tattooing and art?
Yeah, well, I've always been drawing since I was a kid, of course, and I've always been into that. And then I think what got me into tattooing was, I think, music. To listen to punk rock and roll bands.
Yeah.
Being tattooed, and thought that was so awesome.
It's pretty cool.
But I was like a super mellow, little nice kid. I didn't dare to get a tattoo before I was 18 at all, and but I was really into it. Painting tattoos on my friends and having like all flash sheets made up that I can choose from. And I bought this. I started buying tattoo magazines when they started coming out here in Sweden. I think around 93, 92, 93. Maybe I think I even got one in 91. Around early 90s. Yeah. Buying tattoo magazines and seeing Motley Crue and Ozzy Osbourne. Because there was no one had sleeves kind of back then.
It was just more like sticker
tattoos. Yeah, that was cool too, of course, and all the bikers you saw with tattoos. But then when I saw the big ones, I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. There was this one guy in town that I'm now a very good friend with, who had a sleeve, and I was like, one day I'm gonna be like him, having a sleeve. But anyway, I started painting on my friends, and I got this little thing you could buy at the pharmacy where you can spray on, like, became like a liquid plaster thing, so you can take showers with the tattoos a couple of times. So I had a little
protector.
So I had a little tiny tattoo shop in my boy room.
And how old were you?
I was like 15, maybe 14, 15, doing that. And then I was drawing a lot, and I was hanging out a little bit, 2 tattoo shops in town. I did some illustration work for a biker guy who had a record label. I did some illustration stuff for him. So he knew the owners of one of the tattoo shops, and they asked me to do some signs for the shop. And I was stoked. Now I could hang out there a little bit more.
Yeah,
it was still scary.
Foot in the door in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. It was still scary, and I was a sweet kid, and I wasn't rowdy at all. But they were bikers, and it was a super exciting environment hanging out there. I was lucky I could harass them a little bit and go down there. And I started knowing one of the tattooers that worked there was a super sweet guy. His name was Tony. He later taught me how to apprentice under him later. But anyway, what really made me decide this is what I want to do. I entered this competition, one of the evening newspapers in Sweden, and a record label called Geffen. They had this competition. You were supposed to paint the singer of Aerosmith, Steven Tyler, and I won that competition. So they flew me over to California to see the show. Me and a girl and a journalist, and I was 16 or 17 at that time.
Incredible.
I'd never been on a plane, and they flew me over, and we were going to spend a week in Los Angeles.
Incredible.
And the only thing I liked Aerosmith, but not that much. I was not super much into it.
Yeah.
But the only thing I wanted to do was to visit Sunset Strip Tattoo, because I knew all the rock stars got tattooed there.
Right.
And I think Axl Rose had this awesome shirt on one of the videos, like Sunset Strip Tattoo, and I wanted one of those shirts for sure. That was my mission for the journey.
Yeah.
The whole trip was crazy. They picked us up with a limousine at the airport, drove us to the hotel, and when I got out of the car, I looked across the street, and across the street from the hotel was Sunset Strip Tattoo.
Oh, perfect.
So I was like, I don't have to do anything on this trip. I know where I'm going to be. So every night when we got back to the hotel from being around town, I went into the shop.
Yeah.
And I knew from the vibes around here and in Copenhagen, it was kind of rough. you don't ask any questions.
Sure, yeah.
I got kind of thrown out of shops in Copenhagen for just going in and try to just
if you're not
vibe.
If you're not there to get tattooed, you're not
get
there.
out. They just in Copenhagen they would just stop tattooing and just look at you, just stare you out until you leave. And when you leave, they start tattooing. So I was a little afraid, but I just had to go in there, and I didn't dare ask anything. I wanted to buy a shirt. That was my mission, and just trying to figure out a little bit how everything worked.
Yeah.
And I hung out there every night looking at the designs, and they thought I was creepy, maybe in a way.
This guy just
who was
looking,
this guy, a young
talking.
guy looking, he was just staring at us a little bit, and he's like, and they came up to me after maybe 1 or 2 days, asking me, "Do you need any help?" And I was like, "Oh, they're talking to me." Like, yeah, can I buy a T-shirt? And they're sure, and they were so friendly to me, super friendly. Of course you can, but do you want to have a look around? And they showed me the shop, and they asked me where I was from, and I met this kindness that I haven't met at all in tattoo shops before, so that kind of blew me away. I bought the shirt, and they gave me some stickers, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do when I get back home. And I was only 17 or 16, 17 at that time. So I went back home and talked to because there was no internet, of course. You couldn't buy stuff, you couldn't buy equipment, but there was Spalding and Rogers advertising in the tattoo magazines. So I was like, I haven't asked anyone at the shop in Malmo that I really wanted to do this, or if I ever could apprentice or anything. But when I came home, I told him, like, Tony, that I really want to do this, and maybe I'm thinking about buying, the Spalding and Rogers kit to just do it. And he's like, don't do it. When you quit school, I was still in school. When you graduate, start working. You can start working here as an apprentice. I'm not gonna pay you any money, and I still lived at my mom and dad. So right after school, I started working there, or apprentice. For some time. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So that's my journey to start tattooing.
And how was that? Was it the traditional story that you hear where you're cleaning out toilets?
No,
running weird errands.
No, it wasn't. It was a nice apprenticeship or whatever we call it. Nothing like that. We helped each other out. But I learned very traditionally, I think. Making needles and mixing colors and learning how the machine worked, like from scratch. Yeah. Because there was no other way to find out. No internet and nothing. You just have to do it. But I started tattooing quick. The shop was still a little biker feeling to it. The street shop for sure. We were waiting around till people come in. It wasn't booked up at all at that time. Yeah. So both him and me worked super hard to get it to another level, because it was only us and another tattoo shop in town. So we have to put up the energy, and
During that time, were you in your mind thinking like, oh, maybe I want to do something more custom in a way, or were you just like, I'll just do whatever comes in?
Yeah, more like that, I think. Yeah. More like that. I was so stoked to even do it.
Yeah. But when you were talking about like up the level, was it more like quality of work, or?
I think so, more quality work. And then something happened when we wanted to get better, both him and me, of course. And we thought, how we're going to do that? And we were all very impressed by the Philip Blue thing, seeing him in magazines. And so we said, let's go down there. And we wrote him. We wanted to get it tattooed, and I wanted to get my sleeve done. And so we wrote him. This was probably 90, I think it was 94. Wrote him a letter, got a letter back. Yeah, you get an appointment, these and these dates.
Amazing.
So we flew down there, and something happened down there, of course. Seeing this, you saw a lot of his stuff in magazines and books, skin shows, and all these books that you could buy in a magazine. But you haven't really seen what he was. He went into this new era of doing big stuff. Yeah. All this. What I was used to was seeing the small little water things, but still sleeves. But we came down there, and he just blew my mind. You can see books after books after books of bodysuits and all these drawings. So that was just like, this is what I want to do when I get back home. And we went down, got tattooed, flew back, and then I just started drawing like crazy, like doing all these charcoal back pieces that he was doing at that time. I just did one of those a day, like before I go to bed. I just did one of those. So increase the level of what I wanted to do with the tattooing.
So that time, I believe right before that time, he took time off and was just drawing those back pieces over and over again. So maybe he was burnt out during that time. I'm not sure. But when he came back, it was a new and improved, you know.
So I was expecting to I wanted a koi fish and some peonies.
Is that from Philip there?
Yeah, that's from Philip. Yeah, I did this part, low part in Lausanne, and the connecting part in Amsterdam at the museum opening show thing they did, and then did a convention. So 2 times we did that.
And was it all freehand?
All freehand. Yeah. He actually all except the peonies. He took out a whole book of pre-drawn peonies he had. Yeah. And it was so big. It was like one, and I was, oh no, I don't want them that big. I want the smaller ones, like so you can have a bunch of them. And he was like, no way, let's do 2 big ones instead. And I was lucky he did that, of course. And
yeah, it looks so nice.
We got tattooed, I think, at 3 o'clock. We finished it at 4 in the morning. He tattooed both of us, and it was awesome. It was so. Yeah, I got a huge inspiration at that time when I was like 18 years old, just started tattooing. Wow. Crazy.
My first experience with Philip Blue was at my very first convention. I was just going there to see what tattoo conventions were all about. Right. And then he was like right at the front door. So as soon as you walk in, you just see him working on this huge, massive thing. And I wasn't really familiar with him at the time, but that impression made me very familiar with him and pretty much obsessed, because I too was like just doing like pieces, not really thinking about how to use the whole body and not knowing how to use like Japanese tattooing as a vehicle for that as well. That really changed everything, especially he was drawing with the colored pencils and with the water.
I guess that was the first thing I bought when I got back from Lausanne, was buying those pencils.
The color pencils.
And started wearing these Thai Fisher pants. Look ridiculous. But I was so stoked. Even he was so friendly. He's like, do you want to see the needles? I was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, showed us the needles. He like showed us everything. Do you want to sit close to, when he tattooed Tony, he was like, do you want to sit close to me when I tattoo him? And I could do that. And I was like, oh, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, of course. Super friendly. So I got super inspired down there.
Yeah. I don't think he was intimidated by anybody being able to take you just take away a fraction of what you're seeing. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you were saying earlier you went to San Francisco. You've been there again since that first trip to California?
First time we went was, I think, 96 or 95. No, 96 it must have been.
That's a good time.
That was super good. I got an appointment with Hardy and Deutsch at that same first trip. I went to New York first and then flew out to San Francisco and met up with some friends, and we got tattooed by Ed Hardy at the old shop. And then at the same week, I got tattooed at 222
incredible
from Eddie Deutsch. That was another thing that changed my direction. I think I had Philip Blue as my hero, still have, of course. But Ed and Deutsch, and feeling that vibe that was going on in San Francisco at that time was my. Now I was in LA first, of course, but that was a couple of years earlier. But seeing San Francisco in a way was just a mind-blowing thing, just being in that city, and then seeing all those shops and all those people working at the shops and meeting them. Huge inspiration. I remember, they were also super friendly, all these guys, and getting back home, I wanted my machines to sound like theirs, and just cutting up my machines when I got back home, and it was crazy. Beautiful.
Yeah, I myself had been to 222, and it was one of those times where I just walked in and didn't know where I was. I'd been to San Francisco, and I just stopped in, and I was like trying to get tattooed, but I only had like $200, and I was like, oh, I want to get something. And then I was just fought with the decision of eating for the rest of the week and getting tattooed. And I was like, I need this $200 to stretch until another 6 days. But it was cool being in there, and you could definitely tell something different was going on there, opposed to other tattoo shops that you walked into.
I can still feel the smell, you know, that the sound, and that was a huge impact on me. At a Hardy's shop, of course, and he was such a star and still super friendly to us. But being at 222 and meeting, you know, Scott worked there, Scott Sylvia, and Jesse Tuesday and Rasher, and I think it was crazy. Yeah, it was so good.
What a great,
inspiring,
what a great time.
Yeah, you know? I went there the year after as well, finishing up the rest of the arm. Yeah, from Deutsch.
And the turtle here is
turtle, and they did a big chrysanthemum on the inside of my arm the first year. Yeah, and then that one the year after, and then meeting. I remember meeting Juan Puente at that trip. He hadn't started working there yet, but he's gonna start working there a couple of months after. And meeting him was a super inspiration as well. You know, bought a machine from him, a couple of the first ones he made, and it was I learned a lot. Yeah, learned a lot from those guys.
Yeah, he's been making machines for a long time. Yeah. I have a couple of those, like the bronze machines, but they're a specific bronze. I forget what they're called.
Yeah, I got one of the first ones that I kind of bolted together.
Yeah.
They're so good. Still have it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. So San Francisco. Yeah, I almost went every year. Get tattooed
every year
for 6-7 years, I think. Yeah, and get tattooed by a lot of those guys.
Yeah, when I first met you, I got this kind of vibe from like a San Francisco vibe in a way. Oh, yeah. And then I was like looking at the work, and I was like, this guy could be an American, you know, working out of, you know, San Francisco during that time. But it's one of my favorite time periods because I started getting into tattooing around that time. So that was my first impact. And then in 97, I started tattooing. So that break from, you know, Flash and people taking designs and turning it on its side and just trying to do something new with it and exciting and upping the power. That was something I was super drawn to, and I can see it in this painting behind you here.
Yeah.
This thing's awesome.
I can't let it go, that style. Even if I try to be more firm and do some things a little bit more neater and nicer. I still fall back to that thing. That San Francisco loose vibe. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of discussions about the like firming things up and keeping it looser. And the idea I have is that if it's too firm, then it can easily look like somebody else's. But keeping it loose and open, it's really what your hand is doing. To get rid of that is to get rid of your
I
look.
think so too. Yeah, maybe. I remember Eddie when he did the lower arm. He looked at when he was drawing the measurement for how far down he's going to go, and he looked at the Phillip arm, and he was like, you know, I can't do it that smooth, right? I was like, yeah, no, I don't want it that smooth. I want your style. I love that style. You know, the roughness and his style that he's famous for, and that's what I was aiming for. So it was funny. It was like a little bit nervous, maybe like, oh, you know, I can't match that, right? Sure. Funny. Yeah. And I remember when this was all fresh, I was walking. I think there was the big tattoo convention, tattoo tour in San Francisco. We went to that one as well, Fanois Street, whatever. And I remember because Hank Schiffmacher came down to the shop when I got tattooed, and I met him on the street, just walking on the street. So, hey, how are you? And I didn't know him. And he looked at my arm, and it was like 3-4 days old. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, that's going to look good in a few years. And it looked kind of, it was rough, and it was, but it was, and he was right. It settled super nice. Yeah. And after a few years, it was perfect. Yeah. And it was perfect when he did it, of course. But he had a point there. It's like,
it's still
it was done in a way that it's going to last forever.
Yeah, it seems like the common conversation we have with like new clients now is like, maybe they want that very polished photographic tattoo, but it's not going to have the same life and longevity that these tattoos do.
It sounded rough at that time when he said it, but he had a point. Yeah, it's still like 20 plus years after. It's still
it looks
perfect.
Great. Yeah.
So yeah, San Francisco's been a huge inspiration.
Yeah. It's still for me.
Yeah.
You know, I keep on going back to it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm obviously pulled from one direction to the other with newer guys or newer takes on old tattooing, but then when I really look back at it, it always goes back to that earlier time. And yeah, some of the earlier things that moved me in the very beginning is that, and I still don't have that same move or like that same burst of energy from a lot of the newer tattooing coming out.
I know what you're saying, totally.
But then when you see somebody tattooing now with that same power as what was coming out early mid-90s, and you're just like, okay, they are understanding where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you get that kind of San Francisco energy going on with your stuff as well.
I try. I mean, I go back and forth because I'm also drawn towards like very rigid Japanese stuff, and so it's like a inner tension. Yeah.
It's nice.
But I find you can't have that same energy with the very rigid Japanese stuff. It's very hard to do that if you want that big power kick in the nuts type of look. It's gonna come from that early 90s stuff. You have beautiful tattoos on your arms, and I remember when you came to Royal, you were getting tattooed by Dan, and I got to see a couple things on your legs, and you had a piece by Marius. He's one of my favorites, and he's another guy that reminds me of that power and strength in tattooing.
Sure.
You mind telling me about that tattoo and that experience?
Yeah. We actually did that tattoo here in Malmo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I went up to Oslo when Eddie Deutsch was there. I want to hang out a bit, and I want to get a tattoo, another tattoo, because it was a long time since I got tattooed by him, and I want to hang out. So I went up to Mario's shop and got tattooed by Eddie. A big crane on my leg, and we were hanging out, and it was a super good time. Just hanging out with Eddie and Marius, and I've been a big fan of Marius for a long time.
Yeah,
he got that vibe going, like what I'm aiming for, trying to do the whole San Francisco nice things going. He's so good, super kind guy.
Yeah, I haven't met him yet. I've been trying to meet him. I would love to have him on the podcast if I could.
Yeah, he's awesome. I talked to him on it. I really wanted to get a tattoo by you, and we didn't have time when I was up there, and he didn't have time. So he came down, and I tattooed him, did a little thing on his knee, and he did a big thing on me. I wasn't expecting. I wanted a big one, but he said, we're going to finish it. Yeah, sure. And he did it in one go. Yeah, it's a big tattoo, and it's solid. There's no skin at all. He did it in 6 hours. It was crazy.
Incredible.
He's so fast. So, but and yeah, super nice guy.
It's like, I don't know how many inches.
Yeah, it's from my hip and down, like on my elbows, down to my lower leg, and
it's big. Like fire and big tiger, correct?
Big white blue tiger, and all fire all around it.
Jesus,
it's crazy. I love it.
How did you survive? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think that's the first time I've ever tried one of those spray pain killing things. The last 30 minutes on my back of my knee.
Sure. Oh.
I never tried it before. Never numbed anything. I think I could handle it pretty well.
Yeah.
But that back of my knee, finishing up the yellow, it was awful. So we took a little bit of that spray thing to make it.
Yeah, I wouldn't fault you for that.
No, it was a good experience trying that. But yeah, it was tough. But he's so quick, and he's so gentle and so nice. Getting tattooed by, I recommend you to try.
Yeah. I definitely I've saved some spots, so I have to get into the contacting planning stage, and I'm obviously very bad at planning. So
super nice vibe up at Marius at his apartment shop thing.
Yeah,
super nice.
Yeah, we have a couple of his paintings at the shop, the big snake, and I'm just drawn to it. Every time I see something on his Instagram, I'm just blown away, and especially how creative he is with the cover-ups that I've seen him doing. Just like, oh yeah,
he's brave.
Yeah,
just go for it. Yeah, up in Oslo was a nice time. We spent time. I got tattooed by Eddie, and we was gonna see some of his friends. We're gonna play a show that night, Monster Magnet.
Oh yeah,
and we hurried to make the show because it was getting late, and we were like, oh, let's go. And we was just going to make it. There was no problem. And he got a phone call that the show was canceled.
Oh.
So yeah, but we got to hang out with, and I met Phil, the guitar player, I met actually now in Malmo a couple of weeks ago when Monster Magnet was here, and he got this crazy collection of tattoos from, oh man, Bob Roberts. And he got all of those guys. Some old Eddie Deutsch and Hardy, and then, yeah.
Very
nice.
cool.
So it was a good time up in Oslo, hanging out with these guys.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Super cool.